she's a great player. She's a high IQ player. She adjusted really quickly to this league. Unbelievably quick to this league. And now it's about becoming not just a great player, but becoming a great leader for this team so that we can win not just a championship, but championships. And what does that look like?
The gloves are off, and Stephanie White isn't holding back. She's about to expose every single lie Sheryl Swoopes has been spreading about the Indiana Fever, and trust me, it's going to be huge. Swoopes is again saying this in her latest podcast episode.
Where I think they didn't do a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, who's an unrestricted free agent, because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season, and I don't think she got the credit that she deserved.
From Kelsey Mitchell's importance to the team to Caitlyn Clark's instant impact, White's setting the record straight. But that's not all. She's also giving us an inside look at the Fever's locker room that'll make you question and laugh at everything Swoopes has been saying.
All hungry to grow and hungry to improve and hungry to be coached and hungry to win. And when you have three foundational players and your big three that have that mindset, have that mentality, and great things can happen.
Let's rewind to the early part of this year. Sheryl Swoopes dropped her Legends perspective on Gil's Arena that had basketball fans puzzled. She claimed Caitlyn Clark was in her 5th year at Iowa, when Clark was actually in her 4th season. This was the season Clark was making history with her NCAA scoring record.
So are you surprised by Caitlyn Clark and the Fever's improvement since the Olympic break? 20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5.6 turnovers
Hell of a number.
Those are hell of a numbers.
But to me, that's not dominant.
Swoopes also predicted Clark's game wouldn't translate to the WNBA. But when Clark stepped onto the court for her rookie season with the Indiana Fever, she proved Swoopes wrong. Clark's freshman stats were impressive: 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, and a league-leading 8.4 assists per game. She won Rookie of the Year and made the All-WNBA first team.
She's hungry to grow and hungry to get better. And so, number one, again, that two-way communication. It's been a long time since I've played. So players that are on the floor, they know, right? Like they get a sense, they get a feel of what's working, what's not. My first conversation with her about X's and O's the other day, I was just like, okay, well, how do you want to improve? Like, what are some of the things that you want to improve on? And then we'll talk about how we want to do that. And then I talked to her about how I think we can use her to help her be more efficient. Help her be more effective, to help our team be better. And
Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, praised Clark's immediate adjustment and impact. White saw what Swoopes couldn't. Clark was elevating her teammates and leading the Fever to their first playoff berth since 2016.
I've never seen in the NBA a player that can throw the ball ahead on the break better than her. Or him, anyone. I had Isaiah, I had Hall of Fame point guard. Never anyone better than her. I also think that, like a lot of my great point guards, Hall of Famers, she could play off the ball so well because she knows how to move without the ball, and it wouldn't.
As Clark's success became undeniable, Swoopes changed her tune. She shifted away from her initial claims about Clark's game not translating to the WNBA. Instead, she began focusing on other aspects of Clark's career and performance. This wasn't a one-time slip-up for Swoopes. It was part of a pattern of making bold claims without the facts to back them up. From Clark's college career to her WNBA potential, Swoopes, his predictions kept missing the mark. But Swoopes wasn't finished. She had a new target in her sights. The entire Fever organization, Swoopes, was about to make more controversial statements.
That players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like,
Imagine a locker room filled with laughter, support, and impromptu team outings. That's the reality of the Indiana Fever. Despite Sheryl Swoopes' claims to the contrary, Swoopes painted a picture of a team in turmoil, suggesting players were desperate to escape because of Caitlyn Clark. But was she even talking about the right team? Maybe she was referring to the sky.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
In their locker room, like, this Aces team is falling apart. This is not a coach that I would want to play for.
The Aces, you know what is going on in their locker room. Like, this Aces team is falling apart. This is not a coach that I would want to play for. Stephanie White, The Fever's head coach didn't mince words when addressing team culture. She praised the chemistry, work ethic, and Clark's positive impact on the group. It's a far cry from the divided locker room Swoopes tried to sell.
I don't think that any one of us can really probably understand, what she goes through on a daily basis. She carries a heavy load, right, with our league and with her abilities, certainly. But where we are from this tipping point in the WNBA and from popularity.
When you talk to the Fever players, a very different story emerges. Lexi Hall and Erica Wheeler both highlight how Clark's presence has boosted team morale.
Like, she'll just throw out comments that are just funny.
Full counts on Clark for confidence and positivity, while Wheeler describes how Clark's humor often lightens tense moments during games.
What we do is have fun. With Caitlyn Clark, who never takes anything serious. Like, I tell people all the time, she's really a kid at heart.
That's not creating drama. That's building a team from management to players. The message is consistent. This team is united. The Indiana Fever's locker room isn't a powder keg waiting to explode. It's a place of growth, support, and a whole lot of laughter. Every piece of evidence points to a team that's thriving together. But Swoopes wasn't done, yet she set her sights on someone new, someone who'd been with the Fever through thick and thin. Kelsey Mitchell was about to find herself in Swoopes' crosshairs, and the claims they were about to get even wilder.
Because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season. And I don't think she got the credit that she...
Kelsey Mitchell's breakout season was nothing short of spectacular. She averaged 19.2 points per game, shot 40% from three-point range, and led the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance in 7 years. These numbers tell a story of a player at the top of her game, but Sheryl Swoopes had a different take. She claimed the Fever didn't give Mitchell the credit she deserved. Is there any truth to this bold statement? Let's look at the facts. Mitchell wasn't just good. She was on fire. Her field goal percentage of 46.8% was the best of her career. But it wasn't all about personal stats. Mitchell played a crucial role in the Fever's success, ending their playoff drought. That's the kind of performance that turns heads.
It's really exciting. I mean, certainly, you think about Kelsey Mitchell, and she's been through the lulls in the Indiana Fever franchise, and now to be on the other side of that, as a cornerstone. And, every team has a big three, right? And you think about having a great wing like her, and a great point guard, and a generational player in Caitlyn Clark, and a great post player in Aaliyah Boston.
So did the Fever really overlook Mitchell's contributions? Not according to team president Kelly Krakoff, who called Mitchell a cornerstone of the team. That's a clear message. Mitchell is key to the Fever's future.
We wouldn't be where we are today without Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, she's clearly a very foundational piece. She's got 7 years of being in and out of this building. She went through a lot.
What about on the court? Did playing alongside rookie sensation Caitlyn Clark overshadow Mitchell's brilliance? Quite the opposite. Analysts pointed out that Clark's league-leading assists actually boosted Mitchell's scoring opportunities. It was a case of two players elevating each other's game. Mitchell herself seemed far from feeling underappreciated. She expressed deep gratitude towards the Fever organization and her teammates. This wasn't a player feeling neglected. This was an athlete who felt supported and valued.
I've always kind of flew under the radar. I've always kind of been that person or that player, very conservative, very an introvert. So now I get to see the flip side of it. And it's kind of funny. I can laugh about it because I know it's come from a genuine place, but I embrace it from a standpoint of like people not guaranteed to see me play, and now that they do, I just hope I do right by it.
So what are we left with? A star player hitting her stride, a team recognizing her worth, and a narrative from Swoopes that just doesn't match reality. It's a reminder that sometimes the most dramatic stories are the ones that exist only in speculation. But Swoopes wasn't done yet. Just when you thought she'd exhausted her list of grievances, she turned her attention to another figure in the Fever organization. The departure of Christy Sides was about to become the next chapter in Swoopes' ongoing saga, and trust me, you won't believe what she had to say about it. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
think Christy did as good of a job as she could have. Managing all of the craziness, all of the Caitlyn mania, all of the hype, all of the media. It was just so much that came with that.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but it's not lost on me that the day after Christy Sides is let go is the day that Stephanie White stepped down from coaching in Connecticut.
Chris Sides led the Fever to their first playoff berth in 7 years, but suddenly found herself out of a job. Sheryl Swoopes had a theory suggesting Sides was overwhelmed by the Caitlyn mania and deserved more respect. But the Fever's official statements tell a different story. Kelly Krakoff, the team's president, praised Sai for her tremendous dedication during her time as head coach. This doesn't sound like a team throwing someone under the bus, does it?
I can't say anything bad about the job that Christy Sides and her staff did. I mean, she did everything she was hired to do and then some, through a tough first year of Caitlyn and all the attention and everything that went with that. I mean, I give them a lot of credit.
So what really happened, Koff made it clear. It is imperative that we remain bold and assertive in the pursuit of our goals, which includes maximizing our talent and bringing another WNBA championship back to Indiana. Every piece of evidence points to a professional strategic decision. The Fever didn't just cut ties and move on. They publicly acknowledged Sid's contributions and emphasized how she worked hard to steer the team during a crucial phase.
Christy Sides did a great job. And as we move forward, my thought process was how do we maximize what we have and how do we jump on this opportunity?
It wasn't about punishing failure, but positioning the team for even greater success in the future. Enter Stephanie White, Sides' replacement, with a history of success and a coaching philosophy that emphasizes communication and player development. White is seen as the perfect fit to take the Fever to the next level.
To think outside the box, not be tunnel vision in how we do things, putting players in positions to be successful, using what we have to our advantage instead of what we don't, and really trying to reverse engineer in some ways the way that I think about the game, and the positions that we can put our teammates and our players in to be successful.
So what's the real story behind Sides leaving? It's a team making a tough but professional decision to pursue championship dreams. But with all these claims flying around, from locker room drama to coaching controversies, you've got to wonder, how did the team really feel about all this? Well, it turns out the Fever players had a few things to say and their perspective. I might just put this whole saga to rest. Just when you thought the Fever drama couldn't get any more intense, Lexi Hull stepped up to the mic as Caitlyn Clark's teammate Hull had a front row seat to everything happening in the locker room. And let me tell you, her perspective blew Sheryl Swoopes' claims right out of the water. Paul didn't hold back.
She sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game. It's huge. And I think, for me, especially as a point guard and as someone that's delivering a lot of the passes that lead to shots, if I miss, she's definitely going to say, you got the next one. I can count on her for keeping me confident and positive. So yeah, I think that shows the player that she is and the leader she is as a point guard.
She painted a picture of a team united, not divided. We play harder for each other because we know we've got each other's backs. She said this wasn't just talk. Hull shared stories that showed just how tight-knit the Fever really were. Remember all that talk about Clark causing tension? Hull had something to say about that too. She revealed that Clark's presence actually boosted team morale. I can count on her for keeping me confident and positive, Hull shared. That's a far cry from the divisive figure Swoopes tried to portray. But it wasn't all serious business. Hull let us in on some of the lighter moments that define the Fever season. Picture this: a tense practice. Everyone's focused, and suddenly the music blares.
One practice, Christy turns on loud music because I can't remember where we were going, but we knew the arena was going to be loud. And so she turns on this loud music, and Caitlyn screams. She's like, "Can someone turn it off? It's giving me a migraine." And everyone's like, what? And Christy reacted and said, "What did you say?" And she repeated it. And all of us were just we were all dying, because if I would have said that, if anyone on our team would have said that and then been asked, what did you say? And you repeat it, like no one else is repeating it, but she did. And it was the funniest thing. We're all like rolling on the ground laughing.
Paul didn't stop there. She talked about how the team lifted each other up during tough times. If one player had an off night, the others were right there with positive reinforcement. It's the kind of support system that championship teams.
All of us just kind of like stuck together, trusted the process, and realized that like the start of the season isn't the biggest deal. It's how we finish and how we get better. And really proud of just the resiliency of the group.
The contrast between these first-hand counts and Swoopes' claims couldn't be starker. While Swoopes painted a picture of discord and drama, the Fever players described a locker room filled with laughter, support, and genuine camaraderie. This wasn't just about proving Swoopes wrong. The Fever players' united front sent a powerful message. They weren't just defending Clark or the team culture, they were showing the world what they were made of. This was a group that had each other's backs on and off the court. As the dust settled on this latest chapter of the Fever saga, one thing became crystal clear: this team was stronger than any rumor or controversy thrown their way. They'd face the noise head on and come out even more united.
Thing is finding people to kind of get you out of that cycle and get you to thinking about
the positive things. But with all this talk about team chemistry and player bonds, a big question still loomed. What did this mean for the Fever's future? How would this newfound unity translate to on-court success? Well, new head coach Stephanie White had some thoughts on that, and trust me, you're going to want to hear what she has to say. Stephanie White, fresh off her successful stint at Connecticut, including Coach of the Year honors, brought a new vision to the Indiana Fever. She saw in Caitlyn Clark not just a great player, but a high IQ athlete who had quickly adapted to the WNBA. White envisioned Clark as a future leader who could guide the Fever to multiple championships.
Not one of those coaches that is going to be set in her ways. Not one of those coaches that that isn't, I'm willing to try new things.
White's approach stood out. She focused on building strong relationships with all her key players, including Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. Her first conversation with Clark wasn't about plays or strategies, but about how Clark wanted to improve. This player-centric approach aimed to empower and foster open communication.
What's your approach when you're coaching greatness like that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just talking basketball, right? Just having general basketball conversations about what she's watching, what she likes, what are some of the things that what are some of her thoughts from, not just what the Indiana Fever have done, but from the game of basketball in general.
The coach's strategy was clear play with great pace and allow players to use their instincts. We want to make plays, not run plays, White stated, hinting at a dynamic style of basketball. She also integrated analytics into defensive strategies, creating a mindset focused on communication and commitment to defense. White's championship experience with the Connecticut Sun and her track record of developing talent hinted at exciting possibilities. Our goal is to win championships and hang banners, she declared, showing her commitment to creating a lasting legacy for the Fever.
Also want our players to use their instincts and to play free. We want to make plays, not run plays, right? We want to have sets that give us certain spacing that we want, depending upon our rotations, who's on the floor, who we want to attack, what matchups we want to get to, how can we manipulate them. So we'll have certain play calls that just give us space to operate. And then whichever play we make, whichever pass we make determines, one of three actions that our players can read from. And so really giving them the freedom to play within a system.
Her dedication to Clark's development was evident. White had been following Clark's career since 8th grade and maintained relationships with her college coaches. This attention to detail spoke volumes about her commitment to nurturing Clark's talent and integrating her into the Fever system. As White laid out her vision, it became clear the Indiana Fever were aiming for greatness, with White at the helm, Clark leading on the court, and a roster full of talent and potential. The future looked bright. Fans and critics alike were left wondering, could this be the dawn of a new era for Indiana basketball?